Hello and welcome to this video. Creating a video tutorial is awesome, but it also requires some crucial steps to make, the video as good as possible. Of course, there is the knowledge of the subject and the video preparation. Then you also have to record your video, that's clear. But after that, you are not done, because you only got the raw footage on your computer, and you want to present to your audience the best possible result. Therefore, you need to cut and edit your videos. And in this video, we will take a look at this cutting and editing process. Basically, I will show you how we cut and edit our videos, so the basic steps required to make sure that you get the best possible video experience. Let's start with that right now. So which software do we use to cut the videos? Well, we use Adobe's Creative Cloud. Now there are lots of other alternatives available on the market, also free alternatives because, the Creative Cloud is not for free. However, we started with the Creative Cloud initially and we are still happy with it, and that's the reason why we still use it and why this tutorial or this video will also be based on the Creative Cloud. However, the Creative Cloud, depending on the package that you purchase, comes with a lot of different apps or tools included. Now, let's have a look at which tools we actually use in our video editing process. Because once you purchased and downloaded the Creative Cloud, as I said, depending on the package that you purchased, you have all the apps available right here, which are a lot of awesome apps, but we don't need all of them. If you look at the installed apps right here, then you can see that we don't use that many apps actually. For our video editing process, we actually only use Audition right here. That's a tool that we use to record the audio, so what I'm doing right now actually. And to edit the audio, this means to change the volume, for example. Then we use Premiere Pro. This is our main cutting and editing tool. So we use that to cut all the different video clips correctly, something we will do throughout this video. Then we use After Effects. As the name says, this is used to apply some effects to our videos. In this video, we will use After Effects to get rid of the green screen. So the green screen behind me, which you cannot see right now because it's already cleaned, but you will learn how we did that. And the last tool we use is the Media Encoder. This will start automatically and it just helps us to, queue the different videos we have. Because if you create a course with a module having like 30 different videos, then you want to make sure that you render the videos in the correct order or in the order that you want to have. However, these are the tools we will use. So Audition for the audio, Premiere Pro for the editing, and After Effects for the effects. So let's leave the Creative Cloud now and let's have a look at the files that we actually need to, edit our video. Because as you can imagine, I prepared some files for you to show you how we edit the video. And these files can be seen right here. The first file is the video file, this MP4. This is basically, my face, which you see in the video right now. Then we have the screen file right here. This is basically the recording of the screen, so what you can see behind me now. And then we have these two audio files, the WAV file and the PKF. Now, where do these files come from? The MP4 file comes from the camcorder. I talked about that in another video. You can find a link to that video up here right now. The same thing is true for the screen right here. We use the tool ScreenFlow to record our screen, so also check out the other video I just mentioned to see how this works. But what about these two files, so the two audio files, this WAV and the PKF? Both files are created in Audition. As I said before, Audition is the tool that we use to record our audio. So the WAV file is the audio file and the PKF file is the file that is required by Audition. Therefore, Audition creates it. Now, talking about Audition, how does it actually work? How does the audio recording work? Let's have a look. So I put the programs right here on the desktop so we can simply open Audition now. And that's the first thing you see when you open Audition. And it's actually quite easy to use. There is just one important thing that you have to keep in mind before you start recording. Go to Edit right here. Now go to Preferences and now check the audio hardware. That's really important, because if you click onto that, then you see that as default input, I now got the microphone, which is not working because I'm not recording on this computer right now. However, if you record, always make sure that the microphone is selected correctly right here. Otherwise, you might record your audio from the laptop, for example, or from the integrated laptop microphone, and the quality is not good normally. However, you can also define the default output, which in my case are the integrated speakers in my screen. And with that, you can press OK right here. Now, how do you start such a recording now? Well, you simply go to File, right here, go to New, and select the audio file. Now you can give it a name as you want. Let's name it Test. Now we always set the sample rate to 48,000 Hertz. That's just what we tried out and what turned out to be a good quality. Then the channel is mono, of course, because, well, we only have the microphone. And the bit depth is 32. These are the settings that we use. I will press cancel now because, well, I don't have any microphone plugged in now, right here. And if you then press record down here, then the recording would start. After you finish the recording, you can just press stop right here and then save the file. And with that, you got the audio file created the way we did it right here. So that's the creation of the audio file. But how do we edit it in Audition now? Well, what we normally do is we simply drag it to the left maybe. We simply take the WAV file and drag and drop it right here into the center screen, like that. Let's maximize that again. So what we see right here is basically the audio recording that we have. We will listen to that later. And the first thing we always do is we choose a part of the audio file which is actually quiet, right here for example, so you don't see any noise in here. But it might be the case that you have some kind of, well, really slight background noise in here. And this is the noise that you want to eliminate, because you want to make sure that your audio is as clean and as crisp as possible. So for the purpose, you simply select a part in the video, which appears to be silent actually, right here for example. And now you go to Effects up here. And now you go to Noise Reduction and select Capture Noise Print, like that. Now you can scroll out again or zoom out again. And now press Ctrl A to select the entire audio file, or the entire audio clip actually. And now you go back to Effects once again. Go to Noise Reduction Restoration and now select Noise Reduction Process right here. And what will happen now is that Audition will try to eliminate this noise that you previously identified with that Capture Noise Print function. Now you can play around with the different settings of the noise reduction down here. We will not talk about that in detail in this video, but normally the basic settings should be quite good. So if you now press Apply right here, then you see that the noise reduction is applied. And then if you had some background noise, it should be eliminated now. So this really improves your audio quality. So that's the first step that we do. The second step that we apply is that we change the volume actually, because normally it's too quiet, so the pure recording is too quiet. So what you can do is you can simply press and hold the left mouse button right here in this area, and then, well, increase the volume. We always try to be within -12 and -6. Let's do it like this maybe. And you can see the decibel right here. So we try to be within that range. Of course, we have some peaks, but that's normally not a problem. As soon as you're done with your work in Audition then, so the noise cancelling and the increase of the volume, you can simply save that. And well, now it's time to start the actual video editing. And for that purpose, we need the video editing app. And as I said before, this is Premiere Pro in our case. So let's switch to Premiere Pro now. So this is Premiere Pro over here. And as you can see right there, I already prepared two files. This is just an empty Premiere Pro file, and this is an empty After Effects file, so this program right here. We will need After Effects, as I said, to eliminate the green screen later, but for the purpose, we need both files to be created. So let's open the Premiere Pro file first, right here. So now we are in Premiere Pro, and before we continue, let me make one important note. We are no professional video editors, so we learned all that on our own with the goal to edit our video tutorials as good as possible. So in case you find anything that might not be best practice, feel free to leave us a comment below the video, because we're always happy to get some nice advice from people who might have more experience regarding video editing. However, all the things I show you right here generally work, of course, because otherwise we couldn't cut our videos. So if you follow this guidance, your video should be quite okay actually in the end. So having said that, here we are in Premiere Pro, and the important thing right here is that you have different workspaces. You can also see the different workspaces up here, so assembly, editing, color, and so on. And if you go to Window right there and to Workspaces, you can also select them right here. As I said, I'm now in the assembly workspace, and actually I will only work in the assembly and editing workspace in this video. However, let's maybe drag that to the left a little bit, like this, and now go back to our source folder right here, because here we have the files. So I will now select the MP4 file, so the face, the audio file, and the screen right here. And now we can simply drag that over here into this area. You can see import media to start, like that. And now maximize Premiere Pro again. And now you see that we have these 3 files in here. This is nice. You can also see that we recorded the face with 50 frames and the screen with 25 frames per second. For the final video, we want to have 25 frames. And an easy way how to achieve that now is to, well, create a new so-called sequence. You will see that in a few seconds by double-clicking onto the screen. And now you see the screen appearing right here. That's interesting. But what is more interesting is that down here you have 2 symbols, and it says it actually. You can drag the video only or the audio only. Well, as we record the audio separately, we don't need the audio from our screen, of course. We only need the screen, and therefore I simply take the screen right here and drag it down here, as it says, to create a new sequence, like that. Well, and as you can see, we now have that new sequence created with the example screen in there. And if I now move the mouse, you can see that it goes through the sequence, like that. Well, with that we got our first clip in here. Let's now also add the face. So I'm simply clicking it, and now I will not drag it over here, but I will drag it down there directly into the sequence. And as you can see, Premiere automatically creates the 2 different clips. So we got, let me drag it right here, we got the video up here, the example MP4, and the corresponding audio down there. Let's maybe increase the size a little bit so that you can see it better, like that. And up there, you can also see my face, so you now see my face right here and right there. Well, I think you have to deal with that for the moment. However, we now have this file down here, and with that, there is only one last thing missing, and that's our audio file. We got it right here, and I will simply drag it again and put it right there. With that, we got all our clips in our sequence. So let's maybe change it. Oops, right here. As you can see, you can arrange that workspace just the way you prefer. So I will put it over here. And well, how does this work now? How do we continue? Because now it's basically in here, but well, that's not the way it should be in the end. Because if I zoom in, so I'm pressing Alt and now I use the mouse wheel to zoom in, like that, scroll to the left. Well, then you can see that the audio here is not synchronized. Let me zoom out a little bit. Because you can see these 2 peaks right here. What are these peaks? Well, these 2 peaks are 2 claps, like that. Because what we normally do is we start our audio recording, then we start the camcorder, so this one right here, and then we clap 2 times. Because this allows us to synchronize the audio of the integrated camcorder microphone and the audio of this microphone right here. Because we will get rid of the audio of the camcorder as soon as we finish that synchronization process, because this has a way better audio quality. However, how do we do this synchronizing process then? Well, the first thing I do is now I click onto the audio clip. So the green one is the audio clip from the microphone. And if I now go to the left, you can see that this symbol appears. And if I now click right here, I can simply decrease the size of that clip. And now I can drag it, so I'm simply doing it with the mouse, right here. But that's not correct, so let's zoom in a little bit. And let's now put it right here. Let's zoom in further. Still not working. So we should go a frame to the right. How can we do that? Well, we can simply use the left arrow key and the right arrow key on the keyboard to navigate between the frames. And as you can see up here, this goes through it frame by frame. If you hold Shift and the arrow keys, this goes 5 frames to the left and 5 frames to the right. Now, I'm talking about these shortcuts already. How does this work and how do I know these shortcuts? Well, of course you can Google them, but another really good alternative is if you go to Edit right here and now go to the keyboard shortcuts down there. If you click onto that, you can see all the different keyboard commands that you have, and even better, down here you get an overview of all the different shortcuts and commands that you have. And in addition to that, you can also click right here to search for a specific shortcut, for example. Now what I will use in a few seconds is Ctrl plus B. And as you can see, with this shortcut, I will basically add an edit, which means I will set a cut basically. So that's important because at the moment I'm working on a Windows PC. So if you're using Premiere Pro on a Mac, this can be slightly different, but with this keyboard shortcuts, it should always be easy to find the right command on the keyboard that you need. However, let's go back to our sequence now by pressing cancel down here. So we set this marker, and that's the important thing right here that we moved before, to the left and now to the right, and we are exactly at the beginning of the clap in the microphone of the camcorder. Now we see that this is not equal, so I selected that microphone clip, and if I now press Alt and now the right arrow key, you can see that I can again move the clip frame by frame, but now I'm not moving that marker up here. You see, now without Alt I'm moving the marker, and right here I'm only moving the clip. Now this does not work perfectly, but let's maybe align it like that. And if we now play it, yeah, this sounds quite correct. So with that, we did our first step. We now aligned the audio. This means we can get rid of that audio of the camcorder. So I'm simply selecting it and I'm pressing delete on the keyboard. With that, it's gone. But there is one more thing that we have to synchronize, and that's the screen, because the screen does not start right here when the recording of the camcorder starts. We do that with a second, well, trick. And this trick is if you go to the right here, you see, I'm saying action. You could say anything you want, of course, but we use action. So we will again set this marker, and now I will select it right here, to this position when I say action. Now I zoom out again, so with Alt and the mouse wheel. And now I place the screen exactly right here. So if we let it play again, then the screen starts. Problem is, however, that you cannot see the screen at the moment, right? Because the only thing you see is basically, well, again, myself. And this is maybe not the only thing that you want to see in such a video. So the third step before we can start the actual cutting is to decrease the size of that clip, because it should only be in the lower right part of the screen, so where I'm sitting right now. To do that, we will now change the workspace and leave the assembly workspace and go to editing right here. Now, as you can see, the workspace looks kind of different. Now this big assembly part right here is gone. Therefore, we have now the effect controls right there. And if I now select that clip up here, so the clip with myself on it, then you can see that you can change lots of different things up here. And the thing that we have to change right here is the position and the scale. The scale we normally use is 33.3%, so like that. And as you can see, now I'm smaller, but kind of in the middle of the screen. This means we need to position myself differently, and as you can see right here, I'm always sitting in the right lower part of the screen, and the right position for that is 1601, like that, and 901, like that. And now you see, suddenly I'm sitting down here in the right lower corner of the screen, which is nice. However, there is still this green screen around me, but we will come back to that in a few minutes when we talk about After Effects. So before we continue, let me maybe increase the size right here. I hope you can see everything, but I think it should be fine basically. I can also change that a little bit. Again, as you can see, you can arrange the workspace just as you want to. However, we got the basic set, we got the right format up here, and we synchronized the audio and the screen with our actual recording. So let's now start with the cutting process. And the cutting starts actually at the beginning. So let's see. Here I'm looking into the camera. And let's try it out now. So this is our small example video. So that's the start. So let's maybe zoom in again. As I said, I'm pressing Alt and the mouse wheel. Now I can again press the right key on the right arrow key on the keyboard. And now I want to set a cut right here. So how do I set this cut now at this position? Well, I showed you before that if you go to Edit and Keyboard Shortcuts, that if I type Ctrl+B, that this will add an edit right here. The important thing here is that if you double click right there and now press B, for example, you now see that B would also do the same thing. So that's also important. You can manually change the shortcuts with the corresponding functions, though just the way you prefer it to work. Now in my case, I will get rid of that B and keep Ctrl B as the shortcut. But that's again important. If you're cutting on your own, just find out the right functions you need and define the shortcuts as you want to. However, we will use Ctrl B to cut that, so let's press cancel. And if I now select the first clip and press Ctrl B, then you see that I set the cut in this first clip. However, that's not good because we want to cut all clips, of course, otherwise the video wouldn't make any sense after that. So let's press Ctrl Z and now select all 3 clips at the same time. If I now press Ctrl B, well, then we got the cut set perfectly. Perfectly, yes. But if I now press delete right here, well, then the clip, if I zoom out, is gone, which is nice, but the starting point should be 0 actually. So we should get rid of that distance right here. And we can do that by pressing Shift and Delete, like that. Shift and Delete, what was that actually? Because as I said, these commands might be different at your computer. So if you go to Edit once again, Keyboard Shortcuts, and type Shift+Delete, then you can see that this was the ripple delete that I applied. Also a really important function that we use quite often in our videos. So let's press cancel and well, the ripple delete worked quite well, but let me undo that once and twice. And now reselect all the clips that we want to delete and now press Shift and Delete, so ripple delete once again, because now you can see that we now start at 0 with just one keyboard command, which is quite nice actually. So with that, let's now continue and listen to this clip. As I said, it's just 30 seconds, so it won't take very long. So let's go to the beginning and start again. So this is our small example video that we will use to see how we can cut our video. Have to stop right here shortly. You can also see right here that the decibel level is kind of between -12 and -6. This is the thing that I told you when we worked on the file in Audition. So let's continue right now. Videos. Now let's assume that and here you can see that I made a mistake. So this means we need to cut out this part right here. So what I simply can do is I can click right here to set the marker, well, just a few frames before the actual mistake happens. Now I select all the clips, press Ctrl B as we learned before, and now simply go right there. And now again select all the clips, again set a cut, and now use the ripple delete, so in my case Shift and Delete, to get rid of these 2 wrong sentences, like that. If I zoom in, let's see how it looks like. Our videos. Now let's assume that I made a mistake right here, that this looks fine. So now we made our first cut. Let's continue and see if there is anything else that we have to change right here, that we have to cut out. And after this first mistake, we now have the second mistake. That's the second mistake, so we follow the same pattern. We simply go right here and set the cut. And now go to the beginning where it started, right here, and set the second cut. Now select the 3 clips that we want to delete and use the ripple delete again to get rid of that part. Let's see if it looks good, that we have to cut out. And after this first mistake, we now have the second mistake. That's fine actually. So let's see if there is anything else that we should cut in here. And with that, we now edited or cut our video, and we can now continue with our basics in video editing. Bye. And with that bye, we can now stop the video and again select all 3 clips. As you can see, the marker is set right here. Add a cut, select the 3 last clips and simply delete them. And if we now zoom out a little bit, again Alt and the mouse wheel, then you can see that this is now our entire clip actually. And as you can imagine, in a longer video, there are a lot more things to cut and so on. But that's just the basic process that you need to understand to be able to cut your videos. However, we are not done yet because, well, if you look right here, well, you can see that this green screen is still in that screen. And that doesn't look good because if you look around me, well, then there is not any kind of green screen visible. So how do we get rid of this green screen now? Well, the good thing is that this is quite easy actually. The only thing we should do first is we should start After Effects. Let's do that quickly by simply dragging this to the left again and going back to the previous folder, and now start this After Effects file I created. As I said before, this is just an empty After Effects file. There is nothing in it. So let's do that. And now we are in After Effects. Now, if you go to Window and Workspace, you can see that we are in the standard workspace in here, just in case this looks different on your computer. So how do we now get the connection between these two files? Because as I said, I would like to get rid of the green screen using After Effects. Now, let's switch back to Premiere Pro. Here it is. Let's maximize it. And what we now do is we will just select this tool right here, the Track Select Forward tool. And not this one, we just press and hold the left mouse button. And now you see that the arrow indicates the direction you want to select it from. So we will use the second one. And if we now click right here, so after our clips, then you see we select everything. This is not good because we only want to select our first clip. So let me go back to the selection tool right here again. That's the tool we always use normally. And we only want to select this first clip because that's the clip with the face. So let's again select the Track Forward tool. And if I now press Shift right here, then you see that we only have one arrow. And if I now click right here, then you see that we selected only the first clip, and by that only the clip with the face and the green screen behind me. So if we now right click onto that clip and now select up here, replace with After Effects composition, then either a new After Effects file will be opened, but as we opened an After Effects file already, it will just, well, kind of import that into this After Effects file. And that's exactly what we want to do. So let's press Replace with After Effects Composition. And here you can see my face again. And now we have a new composition. You saw we talked about sequences in Premiere Pro. And we talk about compositions in After Effects. And in this composition, I can now again navigate through it frame by frame. And as you can see, my face is always there. And so is the green screen. Now, how do we get rid of this green screen now? Well, for that purpose, we need an effect. And the effects can be found right here. The effect that we use is called Key Light. Key Light 1, 2 actually. And this is this effect. So if we simply select that effect and drag it to the first clip right here in the sequence, in the composition, see compositions in After Effects, then you can see that this effect is now here if you click onto that arrow and open Effects. And here you can see Key Light, and here you can adjust it. That's one option, but we will not use that right here. But you also have the effect controls appear. And that's the important part that we will use, because we will now select a color that should be eliminated by clicking right here. And now simply search for a good spot. This should be kind of an average green color that you have. So not the brightest one, not the darkest one. So let's maybe click right here. And as you can see, the screen is already gone. But let's zoom in. Again, I'm using the mouse wheel. And now we can select the hand tool right here and go down. And now go back to the selection tool like this. And well, is this perfect already? We are normally not sure, and therefore we should change from final result up here to screen mate matte. I don't know how it's pronounced, to be honest. Let's call it mate. I don't know. Like that. And as you can see, it's not perfect because we still have these white spots in here and we don't want that. So the whole green screen, or the former green screen, should be black actually in this screen mate matte view, whatever. So how can we change that? Well, we can simply go to screen mate, again this word, and now we can play around with clip black and clip white. So we can, for example, choose clip black right here with 50. as you can see, looks a lot better now, but I'm not really white. The background should be black, and the person you want to display should be white in this view. So to change that, we have to reduce clip white right here. So we can press 70, for example, like this. And now it looks quite good actually. As you can imagine, these values are not guessed by myself. We use these values in our videos. So the important thing is that you just know that you can change the settings right here, but that you have to play around with these settings on your own if you want to clean your green screen that you have behind yourself. Because it always depends on the green screen and on the lighting and generally the conditions you have in your room. But in our case, this works quite fine if we do it like this. Another thing we normally adjust is the screen softness. We use 0.6 right here, and the screen despot white down there, we set it to 2. Again, these are settings we use. Feel free to play around with them. However, if we now select the marker and press space, then we see it's kind of working. It looks good actually. So let's change it up here back to final result, like that, and start in the beginning maybe. Let's have a look. Yes, it looks fine, but there is one more thing that you can do to make sure that you really eliminated all the green spots of your green screen. How does this work? Well, you can simply go to Layer up here, go to New, and now select a solid layer right there. If you do that, then you can name it as you prefer, that's not a problem. The important thing is that you set the color to white down here. So if you click right here, you can change the color as you want to. We will keep it white. If we now press OK, well, then we don't see a thing actually. But if we drag it down right here, as you can see, I'm now dragging it to the second position, this white solid layer. Well, then you can see that if we play the video again, yeah, it looks really good. So that's kind of a second test that you can do to really make sure that the cleaning worked fine. You can now select the layer again and press delete to get rid of it. So that's the cleaning. Now we need to apply this effect to the remaining 2 clips because right here, well, the green screen is still present. So how can we do this? Well, of course, we don't have to readjust the effect again and again. The only thing we have to do is we have to select the key light, so the effect of that first clip where we already eliminated the green screen. Now press Ctrl Z to copy it. Now select both clips or all the other clips where you want this effect to be applied. And now paste the effect. And as you can see, now the green screen is gone in the other 2 clips also. Let's now save this and go back to Premiere Pro to see how it worked. And let me quickly change to the selection tool right here. Well, and as you can see, this worked, but we can still see the green screen. Now it works. So it took quite a few seconds to load it. And with that, you can now see that the green screen is gone. And if we go to the beginning, you can also see that this looks fine right there. So with that, we are now done with After Effects. Of course, there are a lot of more things that you can do in After Effects, but getting rid of the green screen is an important one if you create video tutorials with a green screen behind you. Now, before we continue and finish the last steps, one important thing. If you look right here into our project, let me increase that maybe, you can see that we now have 5 files, but in the beginning we only had 3. We had the screen, we had my face, and we had the audio. So why do we have 5 files now? Well, the reason is simple. The first file we added is this one. This is the sequence. You can identify that by this logo. So if I rename that by clicking right here to, like that, to SEQ maybe, click right here, then you can see that this is the actual sequence that we created. This means that this sequence now includes our screen right here, the first file we had in the beginning, then my face, the second file, and the audio file, these 3 files. And the 4th file we have down here is the link composition that we created in After Effects, so where we got rid of the green screen. That's just important to know for you to see how your project structure changes if you create new sequences or if you work in After Effects. However, this now is almost fine. There are only 2 more things that I would like to adjust. And for that purpose, I would like to mute the audio first, because otherwise you would hear the audio all the time when we have a look at the video, and this could be quite annoying. So to mute that audio channel, you simply press that M right here. So we mute that track, and now if you play the video, You only can see me, but you can't hear me, which is quite okay for the moment, as I think. So let's go back to the beginning of that clip. Let me scroll in, go to the left, and now go right here. Because you might have seen that our videos don't start, well, like that, with an image. You normally have 2 seconds where you just see the background, and then our faces fade in. Now, how do we do that? Well, we can simply go to the beginning again, like that. Now select the screen, so that's the background image right here. And if I now right-click onto that and press Insert Frame Hold Segment, like that, then you can see that Premiere automatically adds 2 seconds. You can see this right here with the counter. So that's the frame, that's the second. So we have 1 second and 24 frames. And then the face comes in. Now, still that's not good. So we should also change that maybe. So let's select that composition and go to the right again with the right arrow key on the keyboard. And now I selected that. And now you can see that opacity setting right here. And that's set to 100%. Now if I change it to 0 and press enter, then you see that my face is gone. And if you now press Shift and hold Shift and press the right arrow key 2 times, then we learned it before, just pressing the arrow key will move frame by frame. Pressing and holding Shift and then pressing the arrow key will move 5 frames each time you press the arrow key. This means we now moved 10 frames to the right. Now with that, we can click right here again and press 100. And with that, my face is back. Now how did that work? Now, without talking about too much details, if you look at this area right here, and you can change it right there a little bit. Yeah, I think it's hard to see, but you can see it. Then you see that we have these symbols right here. These symbols are keyframes. So these frames basically say, at this stage, I want something to happen. Now, at this keyframe right here, we want the opacity to be at 100%. And at the first frame right here, if I click into this arrow, you can see this frame, we want the opacity to have 0%. And that's why my face is now fading in step by step. Because between these 2 keyframes, Premiere Pro automatically increases the opacity to make sure that when we start, the opacity is 0, but at the frame that we defined where it should be 100%, that it is, well, kind of smoothly increasing. Now, talking about keyframes in detail and what you can do with them is not covered in this video. It's just important to know that concept because it helps you a lot when you want to edit and cut your videos. However, let's have a look at the beginning now of our video if it looks fine. Let's see. So we have the 2 seconds. Now it starts. As you can see, a smooth transition. Now that's nice, but let's now go to the ending of the video right here, because here we have the same issue. The first thing is that we want to have this 2 seconds in the end with this frame hold. So what we can do is we go to the last frame. That's not correct. You need to be careful right here. Now select the clip as we did right here. And now press Insert Frame Hold Segment like that. And as you can see again, we added this frame hold right there without any change in the screen. Now, the last thing we have to do is, of course, we also have to, well, kind of change the opacity because we want the face to fade out in the end smoothly. Now, to do this, we can again click right here, change the opacity to 0 right there. And as you can see right here, we created that keyframe again. And now press Shift and press the left arrow key 2 times and change it back to 100 right here. Press Enter. You see the second keyframe was added. And with that, we can see that the face smoothly fades out. Now, you can also add these transitions with a shortcut. It's Ctrl D, and then it will automatically add these transitions at the beginning and at the end of the video. But I just wanted to make sure that you saw this concept of the keyframes that we use in our videos. However, with that, we are now actually done with our clip. The only thing we have to do right now is we only have to export this media now, well, to create that new rendered video that you then see in the end on YouTube. And to do that, you can simply select the sequence right here. You remember, we named it, let's Let's increase it. We named it sequence, so this sequence we're working in. Right click right here, and now press export media, like that. And here you can now specify the export settings. Now, I will again not talk about the details right here. The important thing is actually that you change the format to H.264. That's the format we use. And you can leave the preset to match source high bitrate. This means it will export the video with the presets or with the settings you have in your sequence. So in our case, 1080p and 25 frames per second. Now, without diving into the details, the only thing you have to do right now is you only have to press export if you want to immediately render the video, or you press Q, what we always do, to start the media encoder, and with that to be able to queue all the different videos that we have. Let's have a look at that, how this works. So I pressed Q right now. Now the media encoder starts. As I said in the beginning, that's also an app that we use. Takes a few seconds to load, of course. And with that, we can now see that our video is right here with our settings that we made. We can now specify a folder where it should be rendered to. And if you now press play, well, then it will take a few, seconds to hours, depending on the quality and the size of your video. And with that, you are done with cutting, editing, and rendering your video. And that's it actually. This is the basic approach that we follow when we create our videos. Now, as I said in the beginning, this is how we do it in the Creative Cloud. And there are lots of more functions and things you can do in there, which I couldn't cover in this video. However, I hope this gave you a good and quick introduction into the basic knowledge that you need to cut and edit your videos, and maybe this helps you also in your own videos. So, as always, thanks a lot for watching, hope to see you in the next videos, and bye.